We were discussing just a little bit now. You were saying this has been a particularly difficult election to predict.
Yes, because people are quite away from the campaign for a long time. There was the pandemic situation in January, then the war in Ukraine since the end of February, and there was not a lot of interest for the campaign. It's only about 2/3 of the French who have really following the campaign and have been interested by it. So there's much more uncertainty than ever in this kind of election.
And it looks at the moment there's still about 30% of voters that still haven't decided who they will vote for. Does that have potential for a surprise for the first round?
I think it depends what kind of surprise you can have. Probably it seems that we are quite confident about the fact that it should be the runoff between Le Pen and Macron. But we're still very worried about what could be the differences between them. Now the gap is closing between Macron and Le Pen. And the other point is that we don't really know what's going to be for the abstention on Sunday. We're expecting maybe a high level, maybe a record of abstention, more than 30%, but it's not sure because people still like the French presidential election, and some of them can decide at the last moment to vote and not to abstain.
Who can be more damaged by a high abstention? Because I've read things saying it's bad because usually Emmanuel Macron voters are more mobilized than Marine Le Pen's voters are maybe less interested in politics in general. So what impact could this abstention have potentially?
I would say that there's two kind of answers to that. The first one is sociological. If you look at the sociology, as you said, clearly the voters of Macron are much more high level of education, much more middle class, upper middle class, and they tend to vote more. They are older also, and older people vote more. But for Marine Le Pen, it's the opposite: popular classes, low level of education, young people. So it should be more damaging for her. But on the opposite, we have also a kind of political mobilization that can be in place on Sunday, and it's always more difficult for the incumbent to mobilize his voters on the election day for re-election. So probably it's not sure that Macron will benefit from that. It really depends what will be the most important, sociology or political movement.
One question, though, a big question mark, is Jean-Luc Mélenchon, because he has had also a good momentum over the past few weeks. He's at 15% now in the polls. Could he create a surprise this time around?
He made a very good campaign, as in 2012 and 2017. He's increasing, as you said. Now we have it at 17% in our polls, but it's still 5 points less than Le Pen. So it seems difficult. It seems difficult also because there's not a lot of reserve of votes on the left side. I mean, the socialist candidate is at 2%, the green candidate is at 5%. So not a lot of possibilities to reach and to increase again. But we have to be careful about that. It's not impossible, it's unlikely.
Let's look at the second round then. If it looks at the moment likely that we'll have a rerun of 2017, so Macron against Le Pen. For some of the polls, we are within the margin of error. How much of a shift do you see there could be in the next 2 weeks? Or are we really in the era of error where you could really see a Le Pen win?
Actually, now we are at 53 against 47, which is in the margin of error, as you said, and so we have to be very careful about prediction about the second round and the runoff. But probably the campaign will be totally new and different from Sunday at 8 o'clock after the result of the first round, because Marine Le Pen had a campaign very strange. Nobody really cared about her. She was not in the middle of the campaign. People were looking at Zemmour, Mélenchon, Pécresse, Macron, never about Le Pen. So we were never discussing about our proposal or agenda. It will change on Sunday. There will be only 2 left candidates and two last candidates, and so people will look also at her. And what we don't know is how people will react about this Ukraine war and this Russian proximity that she has. She was not in debate with that before the first round. It was much more Zemmour, the other far-right candidates. Now it's going to be her, and probably it will be a difficulty for her in between the 2 rounds.